Did you know that 75% of the entire Earth surface is made out of water? And that does not even account for most of creatures and just like humans, living species, that we are 60% of water, made out of water, and that's why we are so dense and heavy. Water, it's about a kilo per liter, so that's pretty heavy, dense liquid. And did you know also that, by the way, water in a liquid form, it's actually denser than ice. Anyway, water, it's a very simple molecule. Is water a molecule or a compound? If you have to personally ask, I would say both of them, technically both of them. It's made out of H2O, so hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen as the first element of the periodic table and one of the most abundant elements in this universe. Yes, combined with oxygen, two gases forming a liquid. Yes, one is actually quite reactive and energy dense. The other one is a strong oxidizer. Yes, but if you combine them together, you make a liquid. But in order to make a liquid, for the H2O, so two atoms of hydrogen, one of oxygen, needs to be, they need to bond in a very particular way. So the molecule resembles water molecule. Yes. So to the other side, if you mix two gases together, such as oxygen and hydrogen in a form of gas, you have what we call HHO. HHO, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a way to describe two gases together without actually any covalent bonding. So just two gases put together. Yeah, but the question is, why we have so much water on this planet? Well, guess what? When these two molecules combine it this way to make H2O, it takes a lot of energy. As a matter of fact, water is one of the most stable liquid in this planet. So nature's no better to do not actually naturally combine these two elements together, because it takes a lot of energy. A lot of energy. So what about ice? Ice is still H2O molecule. What if you boil water and suddenly evaporate? Well, it's still H2O. Just the droplets of water are smaller and smaller and smaller. And so they diffuse up in the air, and that's what we call humidity. But once again, the molecule is still H2O. So at this point, you might wonder, the water we have now, 75%, is it the same? Yes, it's the same water since the beginning of time. Yes, we've been sharing the same water since the Earth was born, over and over again. Splitting water and recombining these two elements together is just not makes sense for the nature. It makes absolutely no sense, because it's really unpractical and not efficient. Normally we obtain hydrogen and oxygen in a form of gas through a byproduct of other chemical reactions, because once again, water, it's a very stable liquid. So splitting water, or simply hydrolysis, it means breaking water, it's not an efficient way to obtain hydrogen and oxygen. Once again, water, it's a very stable liquid. It takes a lot of energy to waste to obtain hydrogen and oxygen. There are many different ways to obtain these two gases in a more efficient way. But fortunately, there are still ways to split water, obviously. If you really want to dig into it, we can do it and waste a lot of energy. Once again, many different ways. The most common one are through a chemical reaction on an electrical current. Yes, you just pass some electrical charge through water and you split the two molecules. That is what we call electrolysis, so splitting water with electricity. And today we're going to take a look at this phenomenon. Water, on top of being one of the most stable liquid on this planet, it's also one of the best solvents we have on this planet. Yes, and on top of it, it's actually one of the best insulating material. Believe it or not, we're talking about water. Yes. the ionized slash distilled water is actually one of the best insulating material that we have. And so, yes, we're still talking about water once again, but there is a way to make the water more conductive. And that's by adding ions in a process called ionization. So how do you add ions? We need some free electrons moving into this liquid so the current can easily flow through it and eventually split this compound. Yes, but you can use any kind of mineral you want, because adding minerals is the cheapest and best way to actually add ions to water. And then you can use sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, or you can use sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, or you can simply use table salt, sodium chloride. That works just fine. However, it is the trick, it is the catch. By adding too many ions into the water, so by adding too many minerals, sure enough, you drop the resistance of water, and so the current can easily flow through. The problem is that by dropping the resistance, automatically you increase the current. So it sucks a lot of energy. Yes, all this current that flows through the water actually increases the temperature of the chemical reaction. And so you have a lot of energy waste in a form of heat. To the other side, if you don't add enough ions to the water, what happens? That the resistance goes up, so we cannot break the surface tension of the water, and the current cannot flow through. So we don't have a chemical reaction occurring at all. So the best compromise would be just enough to make the water conductive, and so we can make a current flow through and eventually split between oxygen and hydrogen. So let's go do it. Have you ever thought about a simple system where you can actually split water molecule on one side, combine back together on the other side to produce an electrical current and power whatever you need to power? Well, it is possible with this rather simple system. And as I said, simple system simply because by adding any more organs or adding any more components to this, once again, a rather simple system, you end up with more and more energy loss. And the question is, why? Why would you use an electrical current to split water, convert the energy, convert it back together, and, assuming that there are no energy loss into the system? How can you expect no energy loss by converting the energy once, twice? And why would you start with an electrical current and finish again as a result with an electrical current? What's the point of it? So with this system we are going to make some observations. It's a rather simple system, as I said, and it's made out of two simple tanks where you actually pour water in there. Water flows through the first cell, the HHO cell, that starts splitting water between hydrogen and oxygen. The gas arises from the liquid, goes back into the chamber, and finally back to our fuel cell. To remember, also recall, these two cells are perfectly identical. So whenever it's going to be the input, we are assuming it's going to be the output, and that's if there are no energy loss. That's if we define the second law of thermodynamics. So now we're going to power the whole system with 3 volts AA batteries. In reality, we're going to use our power supply simply because it's a regulated power supply and more steady. So the other side we have, once again, our fuel cell, and let's see how much power we can get out of it. So the water we're going to use, as we said before, it cannot be too hard, it cannot be too soft, because either you have too much current flowing through it and eventually wasting too much energy in a form of heat, where to the other side we have too much resistance, so actually the current cannot flow through the water, and so you defeat the purpose of this experiment. So let's grab some water. For this experiment, to be honest with you, I really love to use natural spring water or simply mineral water, because I think it's the perfect compromise between any kind of minerals, and it's very, very, very tasty, this water. So of course we're going to actually test the water before we do any experiment. 0, 0, yes, okay. Let's leave it a few seconds. We're talking about 120 microsiemens, so 120, I think this water is perfect, almost ideal. We're talking about 120 microsiemens, that's good enough. So what we're going to do now is to take this water and inject it into the tank, start filling up our system. 1 and 2. Beautiful, that's good enough. Close it back. Now we're almost ready to go. So instead, as I said, instead of using our batteries, we're going to use a power supply that it's definitely much more stable and can provide much more current. Our first step is to definitely power it on. And we are going to give it some juice. 1 point, that's about 3 volts right there. 3 volts, and you can see the reaction start taking place. I don't know if you can see the bubbles right there. It's difficult to get it close up. So bubbles start rising. The gas will turn back into the chamber, and in a matter of seconds we should see this fan spinning. Remember, we are actually drawing 2.5 amps, and it keeps rising. We're almost at 3 amps. 3 amps, it's a lot of current. Oh, look at the fan, it's spinning. That's amazing. So we're talking about 3 amps, 3 volts, about 3 amps. So it takes to split water with this volume about 3 volts, 3 amps. To the other side, let's see if we have exactly the same current, unless there are some energy loss. Zero it down. We are talking about 40 milliamps. So we are talking about 40 milliamps as an output. That it's kind of disappointing, very disappointing. 40 milliamps as an output. I was expecting something more. The system is very inefficient. We are wasting 3 amps to produce 30 milliamps as an output. As a matter of fact, this motor you can definitely stop it with a finger, because there is literally no torque at all. And I tell you more, we're going to use a simple LED by actually opening the circuit. There we go. And prove that there are absolutely no current at all. This LED, it's not lighting, not enough power at all. There are not enough power. But guess what? We're wasting all the energy here in a form of heat, because this HHO cell, it's warming up. It's really warming up, and you actually see the water vapor inside. There's so much water vapor from the temperature that it's actually wasting a lot of energy. The output really sucks. Now, once again, we can prove this LED, it's a real working LED without trickery. And it's a nice blue LED. That's a nice blue LED. As an output, there is not even enough power to light this LED. Not even close. Not enough power. We're wasting all the energy in a form of heat. Yeah, it's definitely heating up quite a bit. And there is absolutely no point of this. Absolutely no point. Just a waste of energy. Second law of thermodynamics still takes place. Thank you guys for watching. Yes, once again we found out that there is always an energy loss anytime you convert this energy, and HHO, it's not an exception. The 5 laws of physics is very difficult. But today, yes, today I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna show you a video, a potential scam with once again HHO and splitting water, whatever. Let's go take a look at this video. I'm gonna remove the audio, and you see what you understand from this video. Well, if you ever come across a video like this on YouTube or simply internet without audio, there is no way you can tell what that machine is about. Which means that there is absolutely no details whatsoever about that machine. Nothing clear can be seen in this video. Nothing about details. Nothing about what the machine input is, nor what the machine output is. As far as I know, that machine can also be a water kettle, or it can be a new washing machine. It can be anything found on YouTube. But if we're going to add the audio on this video, you'll find out what this video is really about. Let's go take a look.
This presentation demonstrates the self-sustaining capability of this energy solution. The electrolyzer is livened up, and then the input power is connected to the output of a PEM fuel cell. The fuel cell is fueled only by the pure hydrogen produced from the water electrolyzer. A self-sustaining energy closed circuit is achieved. Electricity from the fuel cell excites the galvanic enhanced electrolyzer, which produced hydrogen to fuel the fuel cell to convert the gas back to electricity. Floodlights totaling 40 watts draws from the self-sustaining energy by connection directly to the output of the fuel cell. Video is recorded with time-stamped 8-camera CCTV to eliminate trick photography. This is a quick preview of the 7-hour run period. The complete footage is available for viewers to analyze and examine connections, equipment, and surrounding area. Various tests are performed to satisfy electrical engineers. At the conclusion of the presentation, the technician disconnects the circuit, resulting in a pressure drop, simply to confirm that the electrolyzer is powered only by the fuel cell.
As you can see now, according to the audio, background audio voice, apparently this machine is supposed to be an over unity machine by using, once again, HHO. Fuel cell. So you split water one side, you combine it back together without energy loss whatsoever, and seems like this machine has been running for over 8 hours according to the voice, and with a recorded video that unfortunately never published online, so unfortunately there is no details once again whatsoever about this machine. To my knowledge, the machine can be absolutely anything you find on YouTube. This machine never been taken to a university or some accredited company lab, testing lab, to actually test the validity of this test, because all these experiments have been made homemade. So who knows what was going on, what was the real intent of this machine, of this experiment. All you know so far is that a voice is telling you that with this machine they achieved over unity. That's all you know, and unfortunately most people end up believing it. Clearly it's a potential scam that can occur anytime soon. Thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe.